Class started. Class started. Class. Okay. Good morning, one and all. So we'll start with the presentations. And Keval, is Keval there? Is Keval there?
Yes, ma'am.
You can start.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My topic is inflation, the impact on the life of citizens of country. Inflation is defined as a general rise in price of all commodities. It is not the rise in price of favorite commodity, but the overall rise in price of all goods and services manufactured and consumed within the territory of a nation. In economics, inflation or less frequently price inflation is a general rise in price level of an economy over a period of time. When the generalized level rises, each unit of currency buys fewer goods and services. Consequently, inflation reflects a reduction in purchasing power per unit of money, a loss of real value in the medium of exchange and unit of account within the economy. Types of inflation: demand pull inflation, cost push inflation, creeping inflation, walking inflation, running inflation, and galloping inflation. Let's see some impacts of inflation. When it comes to the cost of living, a rise in inflation means it has become more expensive to maintain our precious lifestyle. If your income hasn't increased over the measured period by at least rate of inflation, then your bringing power will have fallen, as the cost of goods and services will have increased over that time. Inflation doesn't just affect our everyday expenses, but could also impact our savings, investments, and pensions. In case of saving, if inflation, as is usually the case, is higher than interest rates, then it is real returns will become negative, meaning one may want to think about whether cash is the best place to stay in long term. High rate of inflation will hit hard to the export industry in the economy. The cost of production will rise and export will become less competitive in the international market. Thus, inflation has an adverse effect on the balance of payment too. Price rise has been adverse effect on the balance of payment situation due to shortfall to essential items and non-availability of cheaper raw materials at home. Heavy imports and petroleum fertilizers and raw materials have led to deficit balance of payment, whereas exports are always very low, resulting to shortfall in foreign exchange earnings. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Next one is Ayush. Is Ayush there? Ayush. Okay. Naran? Naran? Naran. Parth?
Yes, ma'am.
Please start.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Today I am going to talk about good economic condition is reflected from the circular flow of income. The circular flow of income or circular flow is a model of the economy in which the major exchanges are represented as flows of money, goods and services, etc. between economic agents. The flows of money and goods exchanged in a closed circuit correspond in value, but run in the opposite direction. The circular flow analysis is the basis of national accounts and hence of macroeconomics. The circular flow of income is a concept for better understanding of the economy as a whole. In its most basic form, it's considered a simple economy consisting solely of business and individuals and can be represented in a so-called circular flow diagram. In this simple economy, individuals provide the labor that enables business to produce goods and services. The circular flow of income describes the flows of money among the five main sectors of an economy. As individual and firm buys and sell goods and services, money flows among the different sectors of an economy. The circular flow of income describes these flows of rupees from a simple version of the circular flow. We learn that as a matter of accounting gross domestic product, GDP is equal to income is equal to production is equal to spending. The relationship lies at the heart of macroeconomic analysis. There are two sides of every transaction, corresponding to the flows of money in the circular flow. There are flows of goods and services among these sectors. For example, the wage income received by consumers is in return for labor services and flow from households to firms. The consumption spending of households is in return for the goods and services that flow from firms to households. Alternatively, one can think of these transactions in terms of the monetary flows that occur. Businesses provide individuals with income in the form of compensation in exchange for their labor. That income is spent on goods and services businesses produce. An economy involves interactions between not only individuals and businesses but also federal, state, and local governments and residents of the rest of the world. Also, not shown in the simple illustration of the economy are other aspects of economic activity, such as investment in capital, which includes produced or fixed assets such as structures, equipment, research and development, and software. Flows of flows of financial capital, which includes stock, bonds, and bank deposits, and the contribution of these flows to the accumulation of fixed assets. The complete circular flow has five sectors: a house, a household sector, a firm sector, a government sector, a foreign sector, and a financial sector. The household sector summarizes the behavior of private individuals in their roles as consumers, savers, and suppliers of labor. The balance of flows into from this sector is the basis of the household budget concentrate. Households receive income from firms in the form of wages and in the form of dividends resulting from their ownership of firms. The government sector. The government sector summarizes the actions of all levels of government in an economy. Government tax their citizens, pay transfers to them, and purchase goods from the firm sector of the economy. Government also borrow from or lend to the financial sector. The foreign sector. The circular flow includes a country's dealings with the rest of the world. These flows include exports, imports, and borrowing from other countries. Exports are goods and services produced in one country and purchased by households, firms, and government of other country. Imports are goods and services purchased by household firms and governments in one country but produced in another country. Net exports are exports minus imports. The financial sector. The financial sector of an economy summarizes the behavior of bank and other financial institutions. The balance of flows into the form into and from the financial sector tell us that the investment is financed by national savings and borrowing from abroad. The financial sector is at the heart of the circular flow. The firm sector, the component of the circular flow associated with the flows into the and from the firm sector of an economy. We know that the total flow of dollars from the firm sector measures the total value of production in an economy. The total flow of dollars into the firm sector equals total expenditure on GDP. Thank you.
Thank you. Kushi,
Yes, ma'am.
please start.
Hello and good afternoon to all. I'm going to talk about impact of inflation on the life of citizens of the country. Inflation is an economic term describing the sustained increase in prices of goods and services within a period. To some, inflation signifies a struggling economy, whereas others see it as a sign of prospering economy. When inflation increases, the purchasing power of a currency depreciates, resulting in rising prices for all goods and services. Fluctuating inflation rates affect all stakeholders in an economy, including consumers, investors, corporations, and governments. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Price Index, prices in 2021 are more than 557% higher than prices in 1971. In other words, $100 in 1971 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $657 today. Impacts of inflation. Inflation is not necessarily bad for the economy. For example, creeping inflation can generate good effects on the overall economy of a country. In this article, we will look at the favorable and unfavorable impacts of inflation. Inflation favorably impacts the economy in the following ways: higher profits, since producers can sell at higher prices; increase in production; more employment and better income; shareholders can earn a good income, since companies book more profits and tend to share it with their shareholders via dividends. Inflation unfavorably impacts the economy in the following ways: fixed income groups experience a fall in income, included salaried employees, pensioners, etc. Inequality in income distribution increases, upsets the planning process; speculative investment increases, harmful effects on capital accumulation; lenders faces loss, negative impact on export income. Thank you.
Jeet. Next is Jeet. Jeet Kumar. Gloria. Mother. Bhargav. Is Bhargav there? No? Vivek. Vivek Bislania.
Yes,
Ishan
ma'am.
Chauhan. Start. Just a minute, Ishan.
Okay, ma'am.
Zils, your presentation is pending. Zils, you are there in the class. At least be considerate enough to reply. Your presentation is pending. ऐसे ही होता है बेटा जब अपने पास जवाब नहीं होता तो वी आर अनेबल टू अनम्यूट ईशान यू कैन स्टार्ट
This is Ishan Chauhan, and today I talk about the use of macroeconomic theories in real life situations. Macroeconomics is the study of behavior of the economy as a whole. This is different from microeconomics and concentrate more on individual how they make economic decisions, while microeconomics looks at single factors that affect individual decisions. Macroeconomics studies general economic factors. Macroeconomic is very complicated with many factors that influence it. These factors are analyzed with various economic indicators that tell us about the overall health of economy. Macroeconomics study topics such as GDP, unemployment rates, national income, price indicates output, consumption, unemployment, inflation, saving, investment, energy, international trade, and international finance. Macroeconomists try to forecast economic conditions to help consumer, firm, and governments make better decisions. Consumer want to know how easy it will be find work, how much it will cost to buy goods and services in the market, or how much it may cost to borrow money. Business use macroeconomics analysis to determine Expanding production will be welcomed by the market. Will consumer have enough money to buy the products, or will the products sit on shelves and collect dust? With a detailed knowledge of the functioning and of an economy at macro level, it has been possible to formulate correct economic policy and also coordinate international economic policies. It explains factors which determine balance of payments. At the same time, it identifies cause of deficit in balance of payment and suggests remedial measures. Gross domestic product output, the most important concept of macroeconomics, refers to the total amount of goods and service a country produces, commonly known as the gross domestic product. This figure is like to snapshot of the economy at a certain point in time. When referring to GDP, macroeconomists tend to use real GDP, which takes inflation into account, as opposed to nominal GDP, which reflects only changes in the price. The nominal GDP figures is higher if inflation goes up from year to year. So it is non is it so it is not necessarily indicative to of higher output level only of figure prices. The one drawback of GDP is that information has to be collected after a specified time to period has passed. A figure for the GDP today would have to be estimate GDP is nonetheless a stepping stone in macroeconomic analysis. Once a series of figures is collected over a period of time, they can be compared, and economists and investors can begin to business cycles which are made up of the period alternating between economic recession and expansion that occur over time. Monetary policy. A simple example of monetary policy is the central banks of market operation. When there is a need to increase cash in the economy, the central bank will buy government bonds. These securities allow the central bank to inject the economy with an immediate supply of cash. In turn, interest rates, the cost to borrow money, are reduced because the demand for the bonds will increase their price and push the interest rate down. In theory, more people and businesses will then buy and invest. The demand for goods and services will rise, and a result, the output will increase. To cope with increased levels of production, employment levels should fall and wages should rise. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Next, we are having Neil. Is Neil there? Priya. Priya Saglani.
Yes, ma'am.
Please start.
Good afternoon. I'm going to speak about the topic everything is to be done in the short run, as in long term, all will be dead. Keynes' approach. For Keynes, the short run was important, and due to the instability of the macroeconomy, government intervention may be necessary to kickstart the economy. Classical economists tend to be more dismissive of short term fall in output. according to their models, fall in real output below the equilibrium would only be temporary and the economy would to equilibrium of its own accord. In particular, classical economists argued that if the economy is below full employment, wages should fall and labor markets will clear solving the unemployment. But Keynes argued that this was a wrong approach. He stated that the economy may well return to the full employment, but without government intervention, this could take a long time. This is why he quipped, in the long run, we all are dead. Why wait 10 years for a reduction in unemployment when the reduction could be achieved much quicker? He argued that what happened in the short run could influence the long run. High unemployment created a negative multiply effect, which reduces output even further. When resources are idle, it may be difficult to get them re employed. He also highlighted the fact labor markets may not be clear. For example, wages are sticky downwards, but also, even if wages did fall, this could be damaging because workers would have less income and so spending would continue to fall. This analysis provided the justification for government intervention, increasing government spending finance by borrowing to kickstart the economy and make use of passing savings. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Priya. The next one is Harsh Taslania. Is Harsh there? Why do I feel that these presentations are becoming some kind of joke for you people? And if they are a joke for you, you'll get the results of these jokes also. And these people who are not turning up for the presentation, they think that I'm cracking jokes. Dhruvin,
Yes, ma'am.
please start.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Today I am going to speak about the impact of inflation on the life of citizen of country. Inflation is a measure of the rate of rising price of goods and services in the economy. Over time, inflation increases the cost of living of the citizen. If it gets higher enough, it hurts the economy. If people if income of people remain constant and the commodity price rises due to inflation, then people have to pay more for the goods and services and their purchasing power declines. If inflation is controlled and at reasonable levels, the economy may prosper. With controlled lower inflation, employment increases. Consumers have more money to buy goods and services and the economy benefits and grows. Advantages of inflation to the economy. Better investment return since investors and entrepreneurs receive incentives for investment in the productive activities. Increase in production. Higher profit since producers can sell at higher price. Shareholders can earn a good income since companies book more profit and tends to share it with their shareholders via dividends. Benefits to borrowers. The real value of the money return is less than the borrowed money. Disadvantages of inflation to the economy. Fixed income groups experiences a fall in income, including salaried employees and pensioners, etc. Inequality in income distribution increases. Upsets the planning process. Harmful effects on capital accumulation. Speculative investment increases. Lenders face losses. Negative impact on export income. The main causes of inflation are higher demand and lower production of supply of multiple commodities creates a demand-supply gap, which leads to hike in prices. Excess circulation of money leads to inflation as money loses its purchasing power. With people have more money, they also tend to spend more, which causes increased demand. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the people who were absent yesterday, if they are present today, I'll call them once again. Purva, Nishrin, Priyanshi, Deep, Smith, Ayush. Is Ayush there? Naran, Deep Kumar, Bhargav, Vivek, Neil, and Harsh. So, for today's presentation, we are done. If there is anyone from Tuesday's session, Monday's session, who want to present today, they can do that.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, my turn is on Wednesday, but I won't be able to present on that day. So is it possible that I can, just present it today?
Sure, it is possible.
Am I audible?
Yes.
So good afternoon, ma'am, and all my friends. Myself, Roman Halai. I'm going to present about the use of macroeconomics theories in real life situation. So let's start with the introduction. We encounter macroeconomics every day through the news about the state of the macroeconomy, the price we pay for goods and services, the tax we pay on income, and the effect of macroeconomics policy on interest rates. Macroeconomic events and policies in other countries affect us as well. Real GDP, rate of inflation, the rate of unemployment are the three primary indicators of the state of macroeconomy. The government influences macroeconomy through its level of spending, taxes, and the control of money supply. When the price of the product you want to buy goes up, it affects you. But why does the price goes up? Is the demand greater than the supply? Does the cost goes up because of the raw materials needed to make it? Or it is war is in an unknown country that affects the price? To answer these questions, we need to turn to macroeconomics. Macroeconomics is a branch of economics that studies the economy as a whole. Macroeconomics focuses on three things: national output, unemployment, and inflation. Government can use macroeconomic policy, including monetary and fiscal policy, to stabilize the economy. Central banks use monetary policy to increase or decrease the money supply and use the fiscal policy to adjust government spendings. Consumers wants to know how easy it will be to find work and how much it will cost to buy goods and services to the market, or how much it may cost to borrow money. Macroeconomics analysis broadly focuses on three things: national output, unemployment, and inflation. Not to mention that they make mistakes in political judgments, which have to be past produce recession and wars. Economics is concerned with the well-being of all the people, including those with the jobs and those without jobs, as well as those with high incomes and those with low incomes. Economics acknowledges the production of useful goods and services can create problems of environmental pollution. It should be clear by now that economics covers a lot of grounds. To understand why both macro and micro perspectives are useful, consider the problem of studying a biological ecosystem like a lake. Both approaches are useful and both examine the same lake, but the viewpoint are different. In a similar way, both macro and micro studies the same economy, but each has a different viewpoint. In economics, the microeconomics of the individual business are influenced by whether the macroeconomics is healthy. For example, firm will be more likely to hire workers if the overall economy is growing. Microeconomics and macroeconomics are two different perspectives of the economy. The macroeconomics perspective focuses on the part of the economy, individual, firms, and industries. The macroeconomics perspective looks at the income as a whole. At last, it helps us to understand the functioning of a complicated modern economic system. It describes how the economy as a whole function and how the level of national income and employment is determined on the basis of aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Thank you.
Thank you, Raman. Is there anyone else who wants to present today?
Ma'am, may I? My turn is tomorrow.
Sure. Anyone who wants to present before their turn is more than welcome.
May I start, ma'am?
Sure, beta.
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nimisha, and I'm going to speak on a topic. A good economic condition is reflected from the circular flow of income. I would like to start from the meaning of circular flow of income. A circular flow of income is a model of the economy in which the major changes are represented in flows of money, goods and services, etc., between economic agents. The flow of money and goods exchanges in a closed circuit corresponds in value, but run in the opposite direction. It has two main aspects, real flow and money flow. In a simple economy, the flow of factor services from household to firms and corresponding flow of goods and services from firms to household known to be as a real flow. Whereas in money flow, firm sector gives remuneration in the form of money to household sector, wages and the salaries, rent, interest, etc. Circular flow of income is then represented by two-sector economy, three-sector economy, and four-sector economy. In the simple two-sector circular flow of income, the state of equilibrium is defined as a situation in which there is no tendency for the level of income, expenditure, and output to change. This means that the expenditure of buyers become income for sellers. The firm then spend this income on factor of production such as labor, capital, and raw material, transferring their income to the factor owners. The factor owners spend this income on goods, which lends to a circular flow of income. Three-sector model. It flows from household sector and producing sector to government sector in the form of taxes. The income received from the government sector flows to producing and household sector in the form of payment for government purchases of goods and services, as well as payments of subsidies and transfer payments. Every payment has a receipt in response of it, by which aggregate expenditure of an economy becomes identical to aggregate income and makes this circular flow and unending. Fourth sector model. A modern monetary economy comprises a network of four sector economic are household sector, firms or producing sector, government sector, rest of the world sector. Each of the sector receives some payments from the other in layer of goods and services, which makes a regular flow of goods in physical services. A residual of each market comes in capital market as saving, which in turn is invested in firms and government sector. The concept of the circular flow gives a clear-cut picture of the economy. We can know whether the economy is working efficiently or whether there is any disturbance in its smooth function. As such, the circular flow is of immense significance for studying the functioning of the economy and for helping the government in formulating policy measures. It helps in study of problems of disequilibrium, effects of leakages and inflows, link between producer and consumer, creates a network of market, basics of flow of funds accounts, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Nanu. Is there anyone else who wants to present today? Is there anyone else from the past days who were not able to present due to any particular reason and were not absent and they want to present today? Let's try and understand this. I'm trying to be very different, but everything has a breaking point. So that's it from our part. We'll meet again on Tuesday.